Join our family of creators. Your support means the world to us. Subscribe now to the Content Creator channel. Your support keeps us motivated and helps us bring you fresh, exciting content every week. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our journey. We are just pawns in a game we didn't ask to play. I heard a farmer in Iowa say that. His name was Dave, and his face was etched with worry lines deeper than the furrows in his fields. He'd spent his whole life working the same land his grandfather had. He loved the dirt, the smell of the rain, the satisfaction of a full harvest. But now, he felt like his future was being decided by people in faraway cities who'd never scooped a handful of soil. He wasn't alone. All across the heartland, I've heard the same story. Good, hard-working people who wake up before the sun and go to bed long after it sets are feeling the ground shift beneath their feet. So, what is a trade war anyway? It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Think of it like a neighborhood dispute over a fence. Imagine you sell apples to your neighbor sells you oranges. You both have a good deal going. Then one day your town's leadership decides they don't like your neighbor. So they tell you that for every orange you buy you have to pay an extra $1 as a tax. This tax is called a tariff. The goal is to make you buy fewer oranges from that neighbor and maybe buy them from someone else in town. But here's the thing about arguments. They usually don't stay one-sided. Your neighbor gets angry. He says, fine, if you're going to tax my oranges, I'm going to tax your apples. When you add it all up, the numbers are staggering. We're talking about a $108 billion hole. That's a massive amount of money that was lost by American farmers and the agricultural community because of these trade wars. With that kind of money, you could buy every single professional sports team in the United States, football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, and still have billions left over. It's more than the entire budget for NASA. This wasn't a slow decline over decades. This was a sudden, brutal shock to the system that left farmers reeling and a lot of folks wondering how they were going to survive. For decades, soybeans were the golden crop for many farmers in the Midwest. They were reliable, in high demand, and a cornerstone of the farm economy. Farmers planned their entire operations around them. They invested in bigger planters, more advanced combines, and larger storage bins, all because the world, and especially China, couldn't get enough of American soybeans. A farmer from Illinois told me he used to watch the ships being loaded at the port, filled with beans from his fields, and feel a sense of pride. He was feeding the world and building a future for his kids. Then the trade war started and everything changed. China put a massive 25% tariff on US soybeans. Almost instantly, American beans became too expensive for Chinese buyers. It wasn't just the folks growing crops who got hammered, the pig farmers got hit just as hard. For years, American pork producers had been building a huge market in China. The Chinese people love pork, and American farmers are incredibly good at raising pigs efficiently and safely. It was a perfect match. We sold them everything from pork chops to the parts of the pig that aren't as popular here, like feet and organs. Then came the tariffs. Not just one, but 2 rounds of them. China slapped retaliatory tariffs on American pork that eventually reached a staggering 62%. Think about that. A reliable, growing market that American farmers had invested millions in developing was suddenly slammed shut. The door was locked, and there was nothing they could do about it. While soybeans and pork were on the front lines, the damage didn't stop there. The trade war was kind of like a rock thrown into a pond. The ripples spread out and touched nearly every corner of American agriculture. Take corn, for example. Corn is the king of crops in the United States. Think about it this way, when farmers couldn't sell their soybeans for a profit, what did they do the next year? Many of them decided to plant more corn instead. It seemed like a logical choice at the time, but when thousands of farmers all do the same thing, you end up with a massive oversupply of corn. The market was flooded, and just like with pork, when there's too much of something, the price drops for everyone. The government knew farmers were hurting. They couldn't ignore the stories of collapsing prices and financial ruin coming from the heartland, so they created a program to help. The idea was to send direct payments to farmers to make up for some of the money they were losing because of the trade war. But for many farmers, it felt like putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. The money was helpful, no one denied that. For some, it was the only thing that kept the bank from foreclosing. However, it wasn't a real solution. Farmers don't want a government check. They want a fair price for their product in a stable market. They want to earn their living through trade, not aid. The payments were unpredictable. Farmers didn't know if they would come, when they would arrive, or how much they would be. It made it impossible to plan for the future. The financial pain on the farm doesn't stay on the farm, it bleeds out into the entire community. In rural America, agriculture is the engine that drives the local economy. When farmers lose $108 billion, that's not just their loss, it's a loss for the small towns and communities they support. Think about all the businesses that depend on farmers. The local equipment dealer is a great example. When farmers are losing money, they aren't buying new tractors or combines, they're putting off repairs. That means the dealership sells less, its mechanics have less work, and it might have to lay people off. When farm families have less money, they cut back on everything. They eat out less, which hurts the local diner. This drop in spending means less sales tax revenue for the town. That means less money for schools, for road repairs, for the fire department. When businesses close and jobs are lost, young people have to leave to find work elsewhere. The population shrinks, the schools have fewer students, the churches have smaller congregations. They weakened the foundations of countless small towns across the country, leaving them poorer and more fragile than they were before. Despite all the hardship, the stress, and the uncertainty, farmers are, at their core, hopeful people. They have to be. Every year they plant a tiny seed in the ground, and they have faith that with hard work, some decent weather, and a little bit of luck, it will grow into a bountiful harvest. They've been knocked down hard, but they are not out. They are looking to the future and thinking about what needs to change so they can get back to doing what they do best, feeding the world. First and foremost, what farmers want is simple trade, not aid. They want the government to focus on opening up old markets and finding new ones. It means investing in rural infrastructure, like better roads, bridges, and broadband internet. It also means strengthening the crop insurance program, which is a critical safety net. Ultimately, the hope for the future rests on a return to common sense. Farmers are resilient, innovative, and incredibly hardworking. They can compete with anyone in the world if they are given a level playing field. But they need policies that help them, not hurt them. They need predictability. They need open markets. And most of all, they need to be seen not as political pawns, but as the essential, hardworking people they are. The backbone of this country, who are just trying to make an honest living off the land they love.